Scripture portions of the day, day 346.
Matthew 26, OANT. And it was when Yeshua had finished all these words, he said to his disciples, "You know that after 2 days it is the Passover, and the Son of Man will be betrayed and be crucified." Then the chief priests and the scribes and the elders of the people were gathered together to the court of the high priest, who is called Caiaphas. And they held a council about Yeshua, so they might seize him by deceit and murder him. And they were saying, "Not during the feast, let there be a riot among the people." And when Yeshua was in Bethany in the house of Shimeon the potter, a woman came near to him, who was with her vase of oil of sweet spices, very expensive, and she poured it on Yeshua's head as he reclined. But his disciples saw it and was displeased them. And they said, "Why this waste? For it would have been possible to sell for much, and it might have been given to the poor." But Yeshua knew, and he said to them, "Why do you trouble this woman? She has done a beautiful deed to me. For you have the poor always with you, but you do not always have me. But she who poured this ointment on the body has done it for my burial. Amen, I say to you, that wherever this my gospel will be preached in all the world, this also that she has done will be told for her memorial." And one of the 12, who called Judas Iscariot, went out to the chief priests, and he said to them, "What are you willing to give me if I shall deliver him unto you?" But they promised him 30 silver coins. And from then on, he sought opportunity to betray him. But on the first day of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Yeshua, and they said to him, "Where do you want us to prepare for you, that you may eat the Passover?" But he said to them, "Go into the city of a certain man, and say to him, Our rabbi says, my time is come. I will perform the Passover at your place with my disciples." And his disciples did just as Yeshua ordered them, and they prepared the Passover. And when it was evening, he reclined with his 12 disciples. And then they ate and said to them, "Amen, I say to you, that one of you will betray me." And it grieved them greatly. And they began to say to him, each one of them, "It is I, my Lord." But he answered and said, "Whoever dips his hand with me in the dish, he will betray me. And the Son of Man goes just as is written about him. But woe to that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It would have been better for that man if he had not been born." Yehuda the traitor answered and said, "Is it I, Rabbi?" Yeshua said to him, "You have said." But as he ate, Yeshua took the bread and blessed and broke, and he gave it to his disciples, and he said, "Take, eat, this is my body." And he took a cup, and he gave thanks, and gave to them, and said, "Take, eat, drink from it, all of you. For this is my blood of my new covenant, which was shed in exchange for the many, for the release of sins. But I say to you that I shall not drink again from this fruit of the vine until the day in which I shall drink it with you new in the kingdom of the Father." And they sang praises, and they went out to Tor Zayatha. And Yeshua said to them, "All of you will be offended at me this night, for it is written, I shall smite the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered. But after I have risen, I will go before you to Galilee." Caiaphas answered and said to him, "Even if every man will be offended at you, I will never be offended at you." Yeshua answered him and said, "Amen, I say to you, that in this night, before a cock will crow 3 times, you will deny me." Caiaphas said to him, "If I should deny with you, if I die with you, I will not deny you." So also all the disciples said. Then Yeshua came to them in the place that is called Gethsemane, and he said to his disciples, "Sit here, I go and pray." And he took Caiaphas and the 2 sons of Zebedee, and he began to be saddened and to be disheartened. And he said to them, "My soul has sorrow even to death. Wait for me here, and keep watch with me." And he withdrew a little, and he fell upon his face, And he prayed and said, My Father, is it possible? Let this cup pass by me. However, not as I will, but as you will. And he came to his disciples, and he found them, and they slept, and said to Kepha, Could you not keep watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray, lest you enter into temptation. The spirit is ready, but the body is weak. Going again the second time, he prayed, and he said, My Father, if this cup cannot pass unless I drink it, your will be done. And coming again, he found them while they slept, for their eyes were heavy. And he left them, and going on again, he prayed a third time, and he said to the same thing. And he came to the disciples, and said to them, Sleep now and rest. Behold, the hour is come, the Son of Man is betrayed in the hands of sinners. Arise, let us go. He has arrived who betrays us. While he was speaking, behold, Yehuda the traitor, one of the 12, came, and a great crowd with him, with swords and clubs, from the presence of the chief priests and from the elders of the people. And Yehuda the traitor had given them a sign, and he said to him, Whom I shall kiss is the one, seize him. And at once he called Yeshua and said, Shalom, Rabbi, and he kissed him. Then Yeshua said to him, Have you come to this my great friend? Then they came, and they laid their hands on Yeshua, and they took him. And behold, one of those who were with Yeshua reached his hand and withdrew the sword and struck the servant of the high priest, and cut off his ear. Then Yeshua said to him, Return the sword to its place, for all those who take up the sword will die by the sword. Do you think that I cannot ask my Father, and he would rise up for me now more than 12 legions of angels? How then would the scriptures be fulfilled, that it must be done so? At that moment, Yeshua said to the crowd, Have you come out as against a robber with swords and with clubs to seize me? I was with you every day in the temple, sitting and teaching, and you did not arrest me? But this happened that the scriptures of the prophets may be fulfilled. Then all the disciples forsook him and fled. And they who arrested Yeshua led him to Caiaphas the high priest, where the scribes and the elders gathered. But Simeon Kepha was going after him from a distance until the court of the high priest, and entered. He sat down inside the guards to see the outcome. But the chief priests and the elders and all the assembly were seeking witnesses against Yeshua, so they might put him to death. And they did not find them, though many witnesses had come. But finally 2 came forth, and they were saying, This one said, I will destroy the temple of Elohim, and in 3 days I shall build it up. And the high priest stood and said to him, Do you not return an answer? What are these testifying against you? But Yeshua was silent, and the high priest answered him and said to him, I adjure you by the living Elohim that you tell us if you are the Messiah and the Son of Elohim. And Yeshua said to him, You have said, but I say to you that from this hour you will see the Son of Man who sits at the right hand of power and comes on the clouds of heaven. Then the high priest ripped his garment and said, Behold, he has blasphemed. Why do we need any witnesses? Behold now, you have heard this blasphemy. What do you think? They answered. And they said, He deserves death. And they spat in his face, and they were beating his head. But others were striking him, and were saying, Prophesy to us, Messiah. Who is it that hit you? But Kepha had sat outside the courtyard, and a maidservant came near him, and she said to him, You also were with Yeshua the Nazarene. But he denied before them all. And he said, I do not know what you are saying. And when he went out to the porch, another maidservant saw him, and she said to him, who were there, This one was also there with Yeshua the Nazarene. And again he denied with an oath, I do not know the man. After a bit, those standing there came, and they said to Kepha, Certainly you also are one of them, for your speech reveals you. And he began to curse and swear, I do not know the man. And at that moment a cock crowed. And Kepha remembered the word of Yeshua that he had told him, Before a cock will crow 3 times, you will deny me. Going forth outside, he wept bitterly. Deuteronomy 32, Septuagint. Attend, O heaven, and I will speak, Let the earth hear the words of my mouth. Let my speech be looked for as the rain, my words come down as dew, as a shower upon the herbage, as snow upon the grass. I have called on the name of Jehovah. Assign ye greatness to our Elohim. As for Elohim, his works are true, and all his ways are judgment. Elohim is faithful, and there is no unrighteousness in him. Just and holy is Jehovah. They have sinned, not pleasing him, spotted children, a froward and perverse generation. Do ye thus compensate Jehovah? Is the people thus foolish and unwise? Do not he himself, the Father, purchase thee, and make thee, and form thee? Remember the days of old, consider the years of past ages. Ask thy father, and he shall relate to thee, thine elders, and they shall tell thee. When the Most High, divided the nations, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the nations according to the number of the angels of Elohim. And his people Jacob became a portion of Jehovah. Israel was the line of his inheritance. He maintained him in the wilderness, in burning thirst and dry land, and he led him about, instructing him, kept him as the apple of his eye. As an eagle would watch over his brood, and yearns over his young, receives them, having spread his wings, and takes them up on his back. Jehovah led alone them. There was no strange God with them. He brought them on the strength of the land, and he fed them in the fruits of the field. They sucked honey out of the rock, and oil out of the solid rock. Butter of cows, milk of sheep, the fat of lambs and rams, and calves and kid. With fat of kidneys of wheat he drank wine, the blood of the grape. So Jacob ate and was filled, and beloved one kicked. He grew fat, he became thick and broad. Then he forsook Elohim that made him, and departed from Elohim his Savior. They provoked me to anger with strange gods, and with their abominations they bitterly angered me. They sacrificed to devils, and not to Elohim, to gods whom they knew not. New and fresh gods came in, whom their fathers knew not. Thou hast forsaken Elohim that begotten thee, and forgotten Elohim who feeds thee. And Jehovah saw, and was jealous, and he was provoked by the anger of his sons and daughters, and said, I will turn my face from them, and I will show them what will happen to them in the last days. For it is a perverse generation, sons in whom there is no faith. And they provoked me to jealousy with which is not Elohim. They have exacerbated me with their idols, and I will provoke them to jealousy with them that are no nation. I will anger them with a nation void of understanding. For the fire has been kindled out of my wrath, and it shall burn to hell below. It shall devour the land and the fruits of it. It shall set on fire the foundations of the mountains. I will gather evils upon them, and will fight with my weapons against them. They shall be consumed with hunger and the devouring of birds, and there shall be irremediable destruction. And I will send forth against them the teeth of wild beasts, and the rage of serpents creeping on the ground. Without the sword shall bereave them of children, and terror shall issue out of the secret chambers. The young man shall perish with the virgin, and the suckling with him who has grown old. I said, I will scatter them, I will cause their memorial to cease amongst men. Were it not for the wrath of the enemy, lest they should live long, lest their enemies should combine against them, lest they should say, our own high arm, and not Jehovah, has done all these things. It is a nation that has lost counsel, neither is there understanding in them. They have no sense to understand. Let them reserve these things against the time to come. How should one perish or pursue 1,000, and 2 round 10,000, if Elohim has not sold them, and Jehovah delivered them up? For their gods are not as Elohim, but our enemies are void of understanding. For their vine is of the vine of Sodom, and their vine branch of Gomorrah. Their grape is a grape of gall, and clusters one of bitterness. Their wine is a rage of serpents, and incurable rage of asps. Lo, are not these things stored up by me? and sealed among my treasures? In the day of vengeance I will recompense, when whoever their foot shall be tripped up, for the day of their destruction is near to them, and the judgments at hand are close upon you. For Jehovah shall judge his people, and shall be comforted over his servants. For he saw that they were utterly weakened, and failed in the hostile invasion, and were become feeble. And Jehovah said, Where are their gods on whom they trusted, the fat whose sacrifices you ate, and you drank the wine of their blood offerings? Let them arise and help you, and be your protectors. Behold, behold, that I am he, and there is no God besides me. I kill and I will make to live. I will smite and I will heal, and there is none who will deliver out of my hands. For I will lift up my hand to heaven and swear to my right hand, and I will say, I live forever. For I will sharpen my sword like lightning, and my hand shall take hold of judgment, and I will render judgment to my enemies, and I will recompense them that hate me. I will make my weapons drunk with blood. My sword shall devour flesh. It shall gut itself with the blood of the wounded, and with the captivity of the heads of their enemies that rule over them. Rejoice, ye heavens, with him, and let all the angels of Elohim worship him. Rejoice, ye Gentiles, with his people, and let all the sons of Elohim strengthen themselves in him. For he will avenge the blood of his sons, and he will render vengeance and recompense justice to his enemies, and reward them that hate him. And Jehovah shall purge the land of his people. And Moses wrote this song in that day, and taught it to the children of Israel. And Moses went in and spoke all the words of this law in the ears of the people, and he and Joshua the son of Nun. And Moses finished speaking to all Israel, and he said to them, Take heed with your heart to do all these words, which I testify to you to this day, which ye shall command your sons to observe and do all the words of this law. For it is no vain word to you, for it is your life. And because of this word ye shall live long upon the land, it which ye go over the Jordan to inherit it. And Jehovah spoke to Moses in this day, saying, Go up to the mount of Abarim, this Mount Nabal, which is the land of Moab, over against Jericho, and behold the land of Canaan, which I give to the sons of Israel, and die in the mount whither thou goest, and be added to thy people, as Aaron thy brother died in Mount Or, and was added to his people, because you disobeyed my word among the children of Israel, and the waters of strife at Kadesh in the wilderness of Sin, because you sanctified me not among the sons of Israel. Thou shalt see the land before thee, but thou shalt not enter into it. Ezra 6, Septuagint. Then Darius the king made a decree, and caused a search to be made in the records office, where the treasure is stored in Babylon. And there was found in the city, in the palace, a volume, and this was the record written on it. In the first year of King Cyrus, Cyrus the king made a decree concerning the holy house of Elohim that was in Jerusalem, saying, Let the house be built, and the place where they sacrifice the sacrifice. Also he appointed his elevation in height 60 cubits, its breadth 60 cubits, and let there be 3 strong layers of stone, and 1 layer of timber, and the expense be paid out of the house of the king. And the silver and the gold vessels of the house of Elohim, which Nebuchadnezzar carried off from the house that was in Jerusalem, and carried to Babylon, let them even be given, and be carried to the temple which is in Jerusalem, and put in the place where they were set in the house of Elohim. Now ye rulers beyond the river, Sathar, Buzaniah, and their fellow servants, the Aspharachians, who are on the other side of the river, give these things, keeping far from that place. Let alone the work of the house of Elohim. Let the rulers of the Jews and the elders of the Jews build the house of Elohim on its place, Also, a decree has been made by me, if happily ye may do somewhat in concert with the elders of the Jews for the building of the house of Elohim, to wit, out of the king's property, even the tributes beyond the rivers. Let there be money, and to defray the expenses, carefully granted to those men, so that they may not be hindered. And whatsoever need there be, you shall give both the young of bulls and rams and lambs and whole burnt offerings to Elohim of heaven. Wheat, salt, wine, oil, let it be given to them according to the word of the priests that are in Jerusalem, day by day, whatsoever they shall ask, that they may offer sweet savors to Elohim of heaven, that they may pray for the life of the king and his sons. And the decree has been made by me, that every man who shall alter his sword, timber shall be pulled down from his house, and let him be lifted up and slain upon it, for his house shall be compensated. And now Elohim, whose name dwells there, overthrow every king and people who shall stretch out his hand to alter or destroy the house of Elohim, which is in Jerusalem. I, Darius, have made a decree. Let it be diligently attended to. Then Thaniah, the governor, and the side beyond the river, Bezuniah, and his fellow servants, according that which King Darius sent, so they did diligently. And the elders of the Jews and the Levites built, as the prophecy of Aggeus the prophet and Zacharias the son of Adu, that they built up and finished it by the decree of Elohim of Israel, and the decree of Cyrus and Darius, and Arthasaertha, the king of the Persians. And they finished this house by the 3rd day of the month of Adar, which is the 6th year of the reign of Darius the king. And the children of Israel and the priests and the Levites and the rest of the children of the captivity kept the dedication of the house of Elohim with gladness. And they offered for the dedication of the house of Elohim 100 calves, 200 rams, 400 lambs, 12 kids of the goat for a sin offering for all of Israel, according to the number of the tribes of Israel. And they set the priests in their divisions, and Levites in their separate orders, for the servants of Elohim in Jerusalem, according to the writing of the book of Moses. And the children of captivity kept the Passover 14 days in the 1st month. For the priests and the Levites were purified. All were clean to a man, and they slew the Passover for all the children of the captivity, and for their brethren, the priests, and for themselves. And the children of Israel ate the Passover, even they were in the captivity, and everyone who separated himself to them for the uncleanliness of the nations in the land, to seek Jehovah Elohim of Israel. And they kept the feast of unleavened bread 7 days with gladness, because Jehovah made them glad. And he turned the heart of the king Assyria to them, to strengthen their hand to the works of the house of Elohim of Israel. Ezra 7, Septuagint. Now after these things, in the reign of Arthasaertha, the king of the Persians, came up Esdras, the son of Sarias, the son of Azarias, the king of Chelicias, the son of Salom, the son of Zadok, the son of Achitob, the son of Samarias, the son of Ezraias, the son of Marathoth, the son of Zariah, the son of Oziah, and the son of Bokki, the son of Abisu, and the son of Phinces, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the first priest. This Esdras came up out of Babylon, and he was ready scribe in the laws of Moses, which Jehovah Elohim of Israel gave. And the king gave him leave, and the hand of Jehovah his Elohim was upon him in all things he sought. And some of the children of Israel went up, and some of the priests, and of the Levites, and the singers, and the doorkeepers, and Nethinim, of Jerusalem in the 7th year of Athsaratha the king. And they came to Jerusalem in the 5th month. This was the 7th year of the king. And the first day of the 1st month, he began the going up to Babylon. And in the 1st day of the 5th month, they came to Jerusalem, for the good hand of his Elohim was upon him. For Esdras had determined in his heart to seek the law, and to do and teach the ordinances and judgments in Israel. And this is a copy of the order of Arthasasta gave to Esdras the priest, and the scribe in the book of the words of the commandments of Jehovah, and for his ordinances to Israel. And Arthasasta, king of kings, to Esdras, the scribe of the law of Jehovah Elohim of heaven, let the order and the answer be accomplished. A decree is made by me, and every one who is willing in thy kingdom of the people of Israel, and the priests and Levites to go to Jerusalem be permitted to go with thee. One has been sent from the king and the 7 counselors to Judea of Jerusalem, according to the law of their Elohim that is in thine hand. And for the house of Jehovah there has been sent silver and gold, which the king and the counselors have freely given to Elohim of Israel, who dwell in Jerusalem. And all the silver and gold, whatsoever ye shall find in the land of Babylon, with the freewill offering of the people and the priests that offer freewilly of the house of Elohim, which is in Jerusalem. And as for every one that arrives there, speedily order him by the letter to bring calves, rams, lambs, and their meat offerings and their drink offerings, and thou shalt offer them on the altar of the house of Elohim, which is in Jerusalem. And whatever it shall seem good to thee and to thy brethren to do in the rest of the silver and the gold, do as it pleasing to your Elohim, and deliver the vessels that are given thee for the service of the house of Elohim before Elohim in Jerusalem. And as in the rest the needs of the house of Elohim, thou shalt give from the king's treasury's house. And from me whatsoever it shall seem good to thee, I give King Astharsatha have made a decree for all the treasuries that are in the country beyond the river, that whatsoever Esdras, the priest and scribes of Elohim of heaven may ask you, it shall be done speedily. And to the amount of 100 talents of silver, and 100 measures of wheat, and 100 baths of wine, and 100 baths of oil, and salt without reckoning. Let whatsoever is in the decree of Elohim of heaven be done. Take heed lest any one make an attack on the house of Elohim of heaven, lest any time there shall be a wrath against the realm of the king and his sons. Also, this has been declared to you with the respect to all the priests and Levites and singers, porters, Nethinim, and the ministers of the house of Elohim. Let no tribute be paid to thee. Thou shalt not have power to oppress them. And thou, Esdras, with the wisdom of Elohim in thy hand, appoint scribes and judges, that they may judge for all the people beyond the river, all that know the law of Jehovah thy Elohim. And ye shall make it known to him that knows not, and whosoever shall not do the law of Elohim, and the law of the king readily, judgment shall be taken upon him, whether for death, or for chastisement, or for a fine of his property, or casting into prison. Blessed be Jehovah Elohim of your fathers, who has put this in your heart of the king, to glorify the house of Jehovah, which is in Jerusalem, and has given me favor in the eyes of the king, and the counselors, and all the rulers of the king, and exalted ones. And I will strengthen according to the good hand of Elohim upon me. And I gathered chief men of Israel to go up with me. Proverbs 26, Septuagint. As dew in harvest, as rain in summer, so honor is not seemingly for a fool. As birds and sparrows fly, so a curse shall not come upon any one without a cause. As a whip for a horse, and a goad for an ass, so is a rod for the simple nation. Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou become like him. Yet answer a fool according to his folly, lest he seem wise in his own conceit. He that sends a message by a foolish messenger procures for himself a reproach from his own ways. As well take away the motion of his legs as transgression from the mouth of fools. He that binds up a stone in a sling is like one that gives glory to a fool. Thorns grow in the hand of a drunkard, and servitude in the hand of fools. All the flesh of fools endure much hardship, for their fury is brought to nothing. As when a dog goes to his own vomit and becomes abominable, so is a fool who returns in his wickedness to his own sin. There is shame that brings sin, and there is a shame that is glory and grace. I have seen a man who seemed to himself to be wise. A fool had more hope than he. A sluggard, when sent on a journey, says, "There is a lion in the ways, and there are murderers in the streets." As the door turns on the hinges, so does a sluggard on his bed. A sluggard, having hid his hands in his bosom, will not be able to bring it up to his mouth. A sluggard seems to himself wiser than one who satisfactorily brings back a message. And he that lays hold on a dog's tail, so is he that makes himself the champion of another's cause. As those who need correction put fair words to men, that he will first falls with the proposal will be overthrown. So are all that lay wait on their own friends, and when they are discovered, say, "I did it in jest." With much wood fire increases, and where there is not a double-minded man, strife ceases. A hearth of coals, a wood of fire, railing men for the tumult of strife. The words of cunning knives are soft, but they smite even the inward parts of the bowels. Silver dishonestly given is to be considered a potsherd. Smooth lips cover a grievous heart. A weeping enemy promises all things with his lips, but in his heart he contrives deceit. Though thine enemies will entreat thee with loud voice, consent not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart. He that hides enmity frames deceit, but being easily discerned, exposes his own sin in the public assemblies. He that digs a pit for his neighbor shall fall into it, but he that rolls a stone rolls it upon himself. A lying tongue that hates the truth, and an unguarded mouth causes tumult.